Welcome to the AGI House podcast. I'm here with Div Garg, the founder and CEO of MultiOn. At the AGI House podcast, we do try to get into the details of how the greatest companies of our next generation have been formed. We try to interview the creator, the brilliant mind behind a new and fantastic technology. And so I stand here with the founder of MultiOn, Div Garg. Div, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, joy to have you. I guess I encountered Div for the first time at a hackathon, an agents hackathon, where people were putting together research agents. I remember early competing products with MultiOn, like Omni, this research agent that was attempting to automate AI research, and you had a fantastic new idea. It was wonderful to see MultiOn burst onto the scene with these incredible browser experiences where people can instruct it to take over their computer and do things like send LinkedIn messages, order food, order Uber, that kind of thing, and even pass tests for driving, where if you had no experience with the test, you could just have MultiOn take it for you. So give me a little bit of insight to what brought you to this idea. What was the original impetus behind creating MultiOn? And where were you in the world and, in sort of your worldview space and thinking such that MultiOn seemed like a good idea?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So when I started on this journey, I was a CS PhD student at Stanford. And so I was spending a lot of my time working on reinforcement learning and how can you build more intelligent algorithms for training in a sense like agent. This was before agents became a big word. So this before all the hype, this was maybe 2022, early 2023. And I was building agents for playing Minecraft or for controlling robotic arms, bunch of things. And a lot of my focus was on how do you create more intelligent algorithms to make the systems more smarter. And I think I just had this idea, which was kind of I'm spending so much time just working on intelligence. I just want a bot. If I can just spend all my time just building a bot that can do all my things for me, I think that'd be really great. And that was kind of the initial motivation. I was I should just use all my research skills to build a bot. That is kind of a butler, and that is all that can go and help me with a lot of things. Maybe if I wake up in the morning, it automatically gets me coffee or orders lunch, or maybe takes care of my emails, or whatever, calls me Uber. And it was kind of I was in a head down PhD mode, just grind. And I was I just want something that's kind of almost like a butler that's kind of helping you in your everyday daily chores.
Oh, and so for context, this is in your PhD at Stanford, and what were you working on at the time? Did MultiOn come out of your research projects, or was it a side project that you hid from your advisor while you were supposed to be doing other things?
Yeah, this was, I would say, it was a side project. So how it was born is I think I initially started on this during, I would say, December of 2022. So this was during the winter breaks at Stanford, during Christmas and New Year's, and I had 2 weeks off where I was not doing anything. I'm usually very busy with lots of courses and whatever. It's Stanford is a crazy place. And I was okay, I have nothing to do. Let's just go and experiment. And this was kind of when ChatGPT just became popular. ChatGPT launched in November 2022. So this was just after it came out. At that time, there was no GPT API. So there was no GPT 3.5 API or GPT 4 API. There was only ChatGPT. And
there was DaVinci 3, which was released 2 days before ChatGPT, and DaVinci 2, which was not instruct fine-tune, and so wasn't useful for agents. But I presume DaVinci 3 was not good enough for agent potential.
Yeah. And so when ChatGPT came out, I think that was kind of the big thing when people were oh wow, AI can actually be in product. Because before that, people were what can you use AI for? People were kind of not very bullish on AI. And there was oh wow, OpenAI guys figured out how to make AI into a successful thing, and it was just blowing up. And I think I kind of figured out how to basically use ChatGPT's backend as an API, and then I was kind of doing some sort of slide hacking thing. It was all fully legal, but using the backend API routes to power the first version of the bot that was MultiOn. And the idea was can we go control a browser using all this large language models and all this new technology that's coming out. And then we spent a lot of time what can that look like? How do you make these things better? And a lot of that was inspired from the research I've done in past. But this was kind of a independent side project. And then I was spending a lot of time working on evenings and weekends. Like the first prototype was built in like I would say less than a week. But after that, and then like once I built the prototype, I made this video that went really viral on Twitter, which was like, okay, like can you use a AI bot to order a burger for you on DoorDash? And then I put that out. It got millions of views, 1,000+ likes, went super viral.
Nice.
Everyone really wanted it. We got 10,000 people to sign up on a wait list in a week. And then it started to look like this could be like a serious startup and like everyone really wants it. And then I started like, spending a lot of my free time, which was like a lot of my free time on like evenings and whenever like I was free on weekends and stuff like that. And they just like can we actually make this into like a proper thing that can potentially go and change lives.
So how long was it between the DaVinci 3 API coming out and you being able to put together this burger order?
I think this was I was like, so it didn't matter when the API was out because I was using ChatGPT.
Oh, you were.
So because I was calling their backend.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Yeah. And because there was no GPT 3.5 API and you needed GPT 3.5, and that was only like supported on ChatGPT.
True.
And so I think this was maybe like 2 weeks, maybe like that was a gap.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very quick. ChatGPT comes out and you're just.
I was like, yeah, let's go build something.
I see. Okay. Okay, and so it really was inspired by the ChatGPT moment.
Kind of like I was like, yeah, like this seems like okay, like I always believed like AI will be the next big thing, and it was like, oh, like now it's finally happening.
Okay, very very cool. And so the vision of the bot that can do a read like plausibly inspired the name. So the actual name of the MultiOn company is the AGI company. Am I right? Or tell me.
Also, we go by the AGI company.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why did you pick that name for that company?
I think I just really like the name. It was available.
Sure.
I think it's just like a fun name. I think like because I think like when we started with like what we're doing, we thought agents are the pathway towards AGI, and so you need to solve the section capabilities and make these things really reliable if you want to reach anywhere close to AGI. And that's that's why we were like this like a nice name. I really like that, and then it was like let's go figure this out. And once we can figure it out, we can keep improving our capabilities of like how to like make this smarter and smarter.
Right. So ordering a burger is
Sure.
very obvious everyday action.
Right.
And you decided to use browser automation to achieve it. But of course there are other ways you could have done it. What made you pick the browser as the agent context?
Yeah, one thing was like one thing was just the easiness. So it was just like very simple and easy. It was like already when I'm on a desktop, I already have Chrome open. I have like maybe hundreds of tabs open and just constantly like multitasking and context switching. And I was like, okay, like yeah, like if I'm already spending so much time on this browser, and there's an agent that can just use my browser, where I'm already logged in, all my data is there, all my information is there, and I can just tell it like whatever I'm doing, just go and do that yourself, or like just like learn from me like how to do that. And that was kind of the idea, like instead of maybe like building something that uses APIs or a bunch of things which will like require a lot of like different kind of tech stack.
Yeah.
And like it will also be like more complicated just because like now it's to maybe run on back end, or maybe it has to now you have to think about credentials and access and a bunch of things. And I was like, okay, like I already have this browser. I just want this browser to be automated because I'm already spending so much time using this browser. I just don't want to like this spend less time and effort, but like this thing to start happening automatically.
Okay. Because I presume part of the reason you called it the AGI company is you're trying to build AGI. You think, well, actually, this system can become a fully general intelligence that accomplishes any task.
Right.
And perhaps will be the first system that automates some huge fraction of the economy in the way that OpenAI tends to find it. Is that right? Or is that...
I think so. Like I would say that was kind of the idea, where like if you can learn whatever like a human can do in the digital world. So like how like humans operate software and get things done online. So if we can, all of that can be, if that can be learned, I think that is you have like I will call it a digital AGI. Like so like then the in a sense the bot or the algorithm is smart enough that it just knows exactly like how to do anything on the internet. Yeah. And I will call that as a form of AGI in that sense if it's smart enough.
Nice. So walk me through the creation of the browser agent. So this is the 2 weeks between the ChatGPT launch and the release.
Right.
What major technical breakthroughs did you have to come up with to get this burger ordered through what most people would just see as a textual interface?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's actually much more complicated. I think I just imagined this will be very simple, and then you found like thousands of different things you have to fix.
Yeah, so you have two or three of the technical challenges.
So the biggest one was
how you
like
overcame
how to
that.
parse the HTML DOM structure of websites. So if you look at like the HTML of like websites, it's very complex, it's very large. Even like if you go to Google's homepage, it's a very simple like website, right?
Mhm.
Just like a search bar, a couple of buttons, but that's 100,000 like tokens if you like actually try to process the raw HTML. And a lot of that is because there's a lot of noise in the HTML, which is kind of like JavaScript and CSS and a bunch of whatever like things you don't really need. And I think like the first thing I did is I wrote this compression algorithm, which kind of like reduced the DOM to like a very simple flat structure, and we could do like 50x compression. So we could take like 100,000 context like token context, and compress that to like 2,000 and then tokens, and that was like great because at this point GPT 3.5 had 8K context length.
Oh, right.
And so the context window size was 8K, and we were able to figure out how to make this like less than 8K, and that was kind of I think the biggest breakthrough. Otherwise, this would have never worked.
Wow. Okay. And is the compression algorithm secret, or can you?
I think it's secret. I think.
Okay,
it's
great, wonderful. So, okay,
yeah,
and you came up with that during this 2-week sprint to create the burger.
Well, it's kind of. I think the basic version, and then I think there was a lot of refinement over maybe a month or two, finding a lot of edge cases. But that was kind of like the initial breakthrough we did.
Okay, very, very clever. And in part was driven by the limitations of model.
Yes,
so
yes. And I think that was like our core breakthrough, which was I think this was actually defense. Like I think no one was able to reach like our level of accuracy with browser agents. The crazy thing was there was this company called Adapt.ai that raised $500 million. Yes. They released like a beta product. They couldn't like compete with us. And we were actually better. and so like it was kind of crazy to see how the technical moat you were able to build with a very simple thing.
Yeah. No, I think it's a surprisingly common story. A company raises a ton of money and really does depend on a small number of technical insights to work in order for the company to function.
Yes.
And in the case of Adapt, they're great technical founders, Ashish Vaswani and Nikki Parmar. These people were on the paper of the Transformer.
Right.
They were, through various means, like made to leave the company. And the company really foundered without having this core of sort of brilliant technical insights that are what has to drive the product forward.
More or less.
I think, perhaps they should have hired Div Garg.
I think Adapt actually tried to hire me. I think like I just tell them like, sorry, like I'm probably just gonna go build my own startup. They actually tried to show me a demo, and I was like, okay, like my thing is better than yours.
Oh, that's very funny. So you decided to go build a startup. How did you go about getting the funding for it? Given that you have this big demo product, you always signed up users.
Right.
Obviously, that's the next step.
So this was I think this was a crazy time for AI because this was like just after the ChatGPT boom. Like all the investors were like rushing to investor in AI, and like this was just like the first AI wave. And I think we had a lot of inbound. Like I had a crazy amount of inbound, like 100 VCs reaching out to me every day or whatever.
That's
This was kind of
let me make sure I heard that right. You had 100 venture capitalists.
Yeah, it was like my LinkedIn was flooded every day. My like Twitter was flooded. My email was flooded. It's kind of crazy. Like especially because like I was posting a lot of like this viral like demos online. People were seeing this and they were getting and this was kind of the first of its own kind because like at this point like no one has released anything like that.
Okay. And
people were like, oh wow, this is crazy. And there was creating this like feedback loop where everyone was like, oh and I was actually not sure if I should do a startup at this point or not.
Yeah.
Because I was still in school and I was still deciding should I continue my PhD and then just because like it became like this kind of thing where people were like oh you should actually go drop out and do a startup and drop money into a startup. It was like actually starting like this can be a company. Because initially this was just a side project.
Wow. Okay. And is this what like January, February of 2023?
Yeah. And that was some fun times. And eventually I think I got connected to Khosla Ventures through someone from Stanford that I knew that was maybe like working with them. And then I think I got thrusted into this partner meeting with all the general partners at Khosla Ventures, including Vinod Khosla. And I was just like there was like 6 people, and I was just like, I'm just I was trying to walk them through like what I'm building and stuff like that. I didn't have a pitch deck at that time; it was very early. And I think I was just talking about like my vision and like how can this can be the next big thing about like agents and like how can you go and automate a lot of the interactions that you do yourself. Like example is like ordering food online or like maybe like booking flights or hundreds of crazy things like scheduling, coordination, whatever stuff. And I think like Vinod was actually very impressed. So I actually got a term sheet from him, and actually I think at this point I was still not decided that I want to leave Stanford.
Yeah.
So I got the term sheet and I was like still tinkering and doing a bunch of stuff. I was not fully convinced, so I kind of ignored him for a month.
Sorry, to be clear, Vinod Khosla is the #1 investor in the world by measure of the last 20 years of investing progress success. Is that accurate?
I guess.
I've seen evaluations that say something like it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, okay. David ignores this guy.
Yeah, I was just not sure like if I should do a startup or not. And and I was like, and then like I kind of ignored it, and I was like, at some point I think like I got a call from an unknown number.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and it was like, oh yeah, this is Vinod Khosla speaking. I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, we sent you a term sheet a month ago. What happened to it? I was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I lost it in my inbox or something.
Wow. Okay. So would you say this is strategic or the bunglings of a PhD student unaware of what he happens to have created?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both because I didn't realize the value of it. I thought like this could be big.
Yeah.
Actually had like a famous founder in the valley, like offered me like $1 million if I just sell in the IP.
Oh, wow.
And so I think it was getting hotter. Initially it was kind of like, oh, like this is cool. But then I was like, oh wow, like people are really excited about it. I didn't actually know what what people are excited about. I was like, okay, like, people are really excited about this.
Sure. That's so funny. So did you end up taking the money from Khosla?
Yes, I think I debated a lot, and I think we had a lot of back and forths, and at the end of the day we decided to maybe like explore more options because this was my first startup and we also wanted to like get more exposed to the venture ecosystem. And so we talked to a lot of like other like VCs out in the valley, and then we kind of did a full round. And
so who's we? Wait, so were you working alone at this point?
Yeah, so I think like initially, I think like the first prototype I built for the first I would say 4 months was mostly alone. And then at that point I was actually teaching a class at Stanford at this time. Yeah. So that's called like CS25 Transformers United. So it's kind of a standard class where you met a lot of researchers.
Yeah, I remember that class had all of the great deep learning.
Yes. So that was really fun. Yeah. And that was really fun. Because I actually showed some prototypes there to like a lot of people like Andre and like Karpati and like Jan Like, and they were all really impressed. So I had one student in the class who was like an MBA student at the time, with like a deep technical background, Omar. And he had a lot of product and consumer experience from his past working at like Microsoft and Meta.
So Omar was a student.
Yes.
That is very funny.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so he was a student in the class, and then I think we just got to connect to the class. And then I was kind of showing this prototype to everyone at Stanford, and like Omar was really interested in like potentially working together. Yeah. And so he reached out to me, and I was like let's see if this makes sense. And I think we kind of like hit I think we had a good fit in terms of like ideation and how we think about like how this could evolve into a product. Yeah. And at the time I was very new. I knew all the technology and research, but I had no idea on like how do you build a business, how do you build a product, how do you do marketing, stuff like that. Yeah. And so it was kind of like this could be a good fit where we have very complementary skills. Yeah. And so we decided and so this was me deciding to work with Omar and let's go and do this. The funny thing was I already had a term sheet from Vinod before I met Omar. Yeah. And then once we kind of met, then we were like let's maybe just go and like properly explore and like figure out like how this venture ecosystem works. Yeah. And like properly do this together.
Okay, interesting. And so what did you end up doing?
Yeah, so I think we chatted with a lot of folks and we hit really well with Journal Catalyst. So we ended up going with Nico Bonazzo, who was like the managing partner.
So what does General Catalyst have that Vinod Khosla does not?
Like I wouldn't say anything there, but I think we just really like the partner, Nico, and I think like he's very consumer friendly. He really liked what we were doing, and they were also really fast. So they talked like GC talked to us, and they were able to give us a term sheet in like less than a day. And I think we really liked their speed and like their friendliness of working with founders. So I do think like maybe it was a combination of like the friendliness as well as like the direction they were pushing us on. And I think we just like fit well together, so I was like, let's go and like explore this and like try it out.
Okay, yeah, I guess that. So you get this money in the bank,
right?
Presumably, you're now off to the races and building a company while also having this product. I'm curious, what was the first thing that you did once the money was in?
That's a good question. Let's see. Probably pay OpenAI.
Okay, I see. You've
Yeah.
been building up that.
Yeah. I think at this time I think I had like $20,000 in my bank.
Yeah.
I spent my $10,000 on whatever OpenAI.
On OpenAI, oh, wow.
And so like I
You
was
spent
like,
half your net worth.
yeah, I spent half my net worth on just like OpenAI. And I was like, shit, so I only have $10,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
I can probably like survive for 6 months before I like have to like I don't know, I'm on the road or something.
For OpenAI makes it
Yeah, literally. And then that was like yeah, that was kind of like the biggest reason we raised money. It was like, yeah, I really need to like figure out my OpenAI bills.
Oh, that's so funny. How much were you spending that on them per month?
I think I think this was still okay. I think we were spending maybe like 2,000, 3,000 a month. At some time, I think over time, I think at some point we were spending 100,000 a month as we grow as a business. So it's everything, so everything like the bills grow fast.
That's crazy. Wow, what a win for OpenAI.
Until we switch to our own LLMs though.
Sure. Okay. I mean, yeah, out of necessity, I guess.
Right. Yes.
That's super interesting. So I'm aware of some of the product breakthroughs, but actually I didn't know about the burger example. So that seems like it's the first big product win. But I am aware of this SF Standard journalist article about you passing the California driver's exam. So tell me the story.
Yeah, this was actually a very crazy story.
Yeah.
I think this was I think we were still very early in developing the product. Maybe like this was, I think we finished raising around, this was around July, and then we spent like 2 or 3 months for like R&D and like making the product into like improving its like building a team, and then sort of like and then making this into like something that's visually nice and is a proper product experience. And so we were doing a lot of these things, and I was like looking into like when you're early, you're kind of looking for like more traction and more like how do you get out there. And like we were not recognized in the valley at this point because like no one knew about like us, to be fair, like except maybe like a small like Twitter audience and maybe like a lot of VCs. But like we were kind of saying, okay, we don't need to go make a big bang in a sense where like people find about us. And I had this crazy idea that okay, like we should just go and like have the agent go take the online driving test in California. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be really fun because like this is a real world use case, and we're looking for like, what's a good real world use case where we can actually apply this and like get it going. And so I think this was kind of like I think all the planning was done in one evening. So I knew a reporter who worked at SF Standard that I had been introduced to before by a friend. And so I called him and was like, yeah, like I'm thinking of like having our agent to go and take this driving test. And can you actually come meet me at the SF house? And so this was actually here. And I had a friend, Amy, who was actually looking to take an online driving test to like renew her license. And also I was there, we have an agent that can go take a driving test. Do you want to like go and like do this for you? And she was down, and I think I actually asked like 3 or 4 other people too, but I think she was the one like who was most down. And then we were like, and at this point, like, it was kind of like, we actually didn't know if this will work or not. And so I asked our lead engineer at the time, okay, let's try it out. Can we make it work? And then we tried it out, and it was like, we tried it on a bunch of mock websites, or like also, I will call it mock exams. Because you can't actually take the real driving test without like signing up for it, and like
it's very special.
It's very special, so it's hidden behind like a spatial interface. So you can't access it, but you can access like mock tests, which look a bit similar. And then we were like, okay, like let's try it out the agent, and it was like, okay, like yeah, it seems to be passing all the mock tests, and like maybe it's able to reach like 95% score on all the NC questions. It makes 1 or 2 mistakes, but like it's able to pass the whole thing. I was like that's kind of like crazy. Let's actually able to do that because we actually didn't think that would work. And I was like, and at the point I was like let's actually go and do it. And at the night it was me and like again our lead engineer, and what we did is like we created like a stealth version of our agent, because like usually the agent is visible, you can see what's happening. We built a stealth version where we made the whole thing invisible, so you can't detect it. So it's like invisible.
So it looks like the human's doing it.
You're
just looking at the screen.
So it's like it's not visible on the screen, so you just feel like it's like the user doing it. And then we built a stealth version of the agent, and then the next morning all of us were at the SFAJ house, and then I was like, let's go and try it out. And then we set up the driving test for Amy on a computer, and I asked her to just put her hands above the keyboards, so it looks like in the camera like she's actually like typing and like doing things. And the DMV test works is like they are recording you on webcam, They also have like a sort of like a
Oh,
screen
she was
recording.
actually in this test. She was
Yes,
actually
yes,
being
yes,
webcam
yes.
recorded. Oh, no.
Yes. And then we also have like a screen recording, so they're
Yeah.
recording a screen. They also have you install like a spatial Chrome extension, so they can like kind of like see like monitor
Monitor.
your logs and whatever you're doing.
Mm.
And it was kind of like a very like high security environment in that sense.
Wow.
And there was like
So she really took a bet on you.
kind of
trusting
kind
that.
of. Yes. And at this point, and I was like, there's probably like 1% chance this will actually work.
Mm.
And but like let's try it out. Like it's like worst case, like we'll just go home. And so the reporter was there, Amy was there, and then we had this like stealth agent, which we had now actually tested on the actual website.
Okay.
And I was like, let's put it and let's try it out. And then Amy started the test, and like we actually have a video of the whole thing, where the agent is going in and answering the questions.
Yeah.
And the first surprising thing was like, okay, it actually worked on the real website, because it was like, okay, like I don't even know if it's gonna work or not, because we never got a chance to test it. And then it was actually going and answering the questions, and it did a really good job, and it was kind of like a miracle almost. And then it passed the test, and it never got detected. That was crazy, and we got like at the end like congratulations, you passed. And then Amy actually got a driving license, which was really funny. We have a photo of that, and we informed the DMV afterwards. This was kind of like a white hack attempt, and then we let them know about all these things. But that was like a really fun scenario.
Wow, congratulations, man. That's a very risky venture for any man, so.
Yeah, I think the video article was probably worth it, I guess.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, we were I don't think we can claim to be the first agent that had a real world like application in that sense.
So are there any other big product breakthroughs that I haven't heard about, but that might be quite cool?
Let's see. I think one thing we quickly realized is like how do you make this agent actually like what's the right interface?
Yeah.
So initially we started with like a kind of like a chat interface, and over time we started evolving to more like voice.
Yeah.
And then it became like, okay, like is desktop the best experience, or should this be running remotely in the cloud? And then over time I think we figured okay, like a cloud experience is better.
Yeah.
Because you just want to like kind of just like give it a command and then forget about it. And then like if the agent is maybe just running in the cloud and it's doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Once it's done, it can give you the results back, like I'm done, and then you can like go and like use it. And in that spirit, we built like the first agent API. So we announced like MultiOn agent API, where like you can call the agent, and the agent will go do all of its processing and browsing in a headless browser. And once it's done, it can come back to you. And then we also implemented a lot of stuff around like stealth, logins, like how do you do remote authentication to websites, how do you do like stealth proxies, bunch of other things. So you can actually operate on these websites really well without falling into any like issues.
I see, interesting. Does that also allow you to parallelize the operations? Because it seems like that's one big bottleneck.
Yeah, so this was like a second learning where we realized like if you have just have one agent, it's not as a product wise, it's not a 10x experience, because like you could have just done it yourself. So maybe it's helping you a bit, but it's not like a big difference. But we realized quickly like now if you imagine you have an army of these agents, you have like 10 agents or like 100 agents, and all of them can go and divide the work and like do these things like in parallel. Then that becomes like a really big thing where like now you can unlock this kind of like parallel processing, which is not possible for humans, because like the human brain is like sequential, so it's like we can do only one thing at a time. Yeah. And like you usually get told like don't try to parallelize, don't multitask. So the human brain can't multitask, but we're like okay, these agents can multitask, but that's a fundamental breakthrough, because like biologically that's just not possible.
Yeah, and Bostrom has this concept of speed superintelligence, where in being equivalent to the human but much faster,
right?
And in this case, parallelism is a good example of being much faster. You get superintelligence without having to be superior in terms of the quality of its work. Right. I think that's also quite profound. So
yes, I agree.
So I know that you published some research with the inventor of DPO, Raphael.
Yes.
The intention of that research direction was to really customize these agentic models. So once you're free of the yoke of OpenAI, you can actually build something that is specific to, in this case, browser automation, and that maybe outperforms the basic GPT models. So I guess tell me a bit about that research direction. How successful is it? Is it truly the future of agents?
I think so. One thing
contribution.
Totally. So this was kind of like I think this research was more out of necessity. So like Raphael, he's a first level DPO. He's a close friend from Stanford. We were working on like similar directions, like reinforcement learning, imitation learning. So we've been close friends from the Stanford PhD. Yeah. And I think when we started building like MultiOn, we quickly started hitting bottlenecks. So we realized like if you're using any sort of closed LLM API, like whether it's like OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini, there's a upper bound on the accuracy that you can hit. So even if you can like go do infinite prompt engineering, there's probably like upper bound on like even if you have the best prompt possible for a scenario, there's upper bound on like the actual reasoning capabilities and the accuracy capabilities for the agents to work. And we were like starting to hit that, and we were like maybe we can get these agents to work like 95% of the time for maybe like this book, like the order like burger booking scenario or whatever, like LinkedIn like
user, you really need it to work almost all the time.
And yes, totally. And then what happens like if we're trying to build, I think we're very ambitious as a company, so we've been trying to build this for something that everyone can use. And we're like yeah, we're reaching this 90% threshold, but now this needs to go above 90% to maybe like 99% or 99.9%. And like how do we do that, right? And we're like closed source LLMs don't seem to be the answer, because maybe like they will keep improving over like 3 months and 6 months, and we get it better and better. But we were like we want something that's immediate, and that's also something that we can like go and improve on, because like you can't go and like improve a closed source LLM really well. You can do some sort of fine tuning, but we didn't find like too many like improvements with just fine tuning. And so like we need something better, and so I teamed up with Rafael, and then he was collaborating with the company over the summer as I would call it like almost a research internship, and then we were working together on a lot of these ideas on how can you do like better search for agents. So how can you do Monte-Carlo Tree Search over like websites, and then can you figure out like if the agent succeeded or failed in like doing the task it was given. So if I tell the agent, okay, like go make a restaurant reservation for 9 p.m. on at Fogo de Chao for a table of 3, and then I can run the agent, and maybe like the agent will work 90% of the time. So that means if I was to run the agent 10 times, like 9 times it might succeed, 1 time it might fail. And so what we did is we were like, okay, let's create a lot of this parallel simulation of the agents, where we like just run this agent multiple times, like hundreds of times, and we figure out like how many times it succeeds, how many times it fails, and then we can use like all the success and failures to improve the behavior. So we put that in a learning loop. And then we can use like DPO or like some sort of like reinforcement learning algorithm, where like these are the success trajectories, these are the failure trajectories, and then based on that like improve the model to maximize the probability of success. And then that was basically Agent here, and that was the work we did over the summer, and we got like some like really great results where we were able to take some open source models like Llama 3, and that looks like maybe like a 33% accuracy, and take that all the way to like 97% accuracy with one day of training on like a website like OpenTable. And so we've seen a lot of this kind of breakthroughs where we were to like take like something that was very simple, and apply a lot of this kind of like novel methods on like, okay, like how do you take like a existing LLM, but then use our new algorithms you develop to fine tune it to work like close to 100%.
Wow, that's very powerful. So I guess Rafael's in research internship. Tell me more about the development of team members and the kinds of contributions you've got. So tell me, say, about 1 or 2 of the hires that you've gotten to work on MultiOn, and what inventions or insights that come out of them.
Yep. So I'd say we were very lucky with our initial quantity. So I think the lead engineer is actually my brother. So that was kind of like because we were living together in a hacker house, and like at the time he was at Amazon, and he was already spending like 10 hours a day or something, like just trying to have to be in his and I was like, at this point you might just leave Amazon and just like work with me for that. And then so he was like employee number 1, and then we hired like a full-time designer from Stanford. So he was a Stanford symbolic systems masters, Dado. So he was a great founding designer. He helped like help us refine the vision and the initial product. Now he's actually doing his own startup, so it's like always this fun journey where and I think and we hired like a front-end engineer who was from Meta, who helped us like kind of like refine like a lot of our full stack experience, and then we hired like a lot of research engineers who were like Stanford masters or from other places like Georgia Tech, and they've been like phenomenal in like getting our capabilities fully working and like keeping improving what we're doing. And I think we initially also, I think we had some like remote people initially, because we set up this Discord server, and then we built this Discord community, and we had some like very productive members in the Discord. So right now the Discord is like 9,000 people. It's a lot of people in the Discord, and we had like some like great engineers. We hired this one engineer, Coco, who's actually from Argentina, and he's one of our best product engineers in the company. And then he was just like a Discord contributor. We just initially got him before we raised funding, because I was like, okay, like I'm kind of desperate. I don't really have money. I'm just wondering, like, it's fine, like if someone wants to help. So I was kind of like just doing some sort of. I initially started voluntary, and then I started paying him at some point. And then that actually worked out. So he's been working with us for 1 year. He actually never saw any of the people in the company face to face until recently. So I think we did a company offsite maybe like a month ago, and that was like the first time he actually got to come from Argentina to the US and meet everyone, and that was like really fun.
Yeah, Discord culture.
Yes.
Yeah, 9,000 people in it. So I'm sure there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs who would love to be, running a AGI company, creating the next generation of browser agents, coming up with all of these breakthroughs, whether they be the compression algorithm or applying Monte-Carlo Tree Search to open source LLMs to increase by 50% the accuracy of a model on a given task. What advice would you give to people who aspire to do what you did? Found a company, raise money for it, make it sort of aimed at this incredible project which is successful, transforms humanity's ability to perform tasks. I'm curious to hear what your advice is.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is finding your passion. So it's like, is there something that you're super passionate about that will spend a lot of your weekends and like free time working on it? And like, are you super passionate about it? Like, is that your personal problem or something that excites you? That you think that you can go and keep doing this for the next 5 years? And I think like if you identify that, and everyone has something that they're super passionate about, or like something that they have always dreamed to do, and if you can figure it out and like make that your mission, okay, like I just want to go and make it happen. I think that's the best way to create like startup value.
Okay. Passion discoveries. I guess there's hopefully buoyant future for AI agents. I'm curious, are there any directions in MultiOn that you think are clearly going to lead to it being a breakthrough in some aspect, or there existing customers who you're super excited about, or they're happy about particular directions? What is your conception of the future of both the company and also this browser agent AGI product category?
Right. I think this categories will, like, I'll start with the second one. So the categories will keep evolving. I do think I'm very bullish on the browser, and like now we have computer use and a bunch of other stuff coming up. I do think this is the right pathway for building like assistants. Because until now we have had a lot of chatbots, and chatbots are good for chatting and with like information, finding, and knowledge. But now you want like actual like assistant capabilities, where like this is actually saving you time and effort. So it's helping your productivity and decreasing your amount of work. And I think that's now starting to become possible with this kind of like browser agents, and that's what we see as the category being, which is like how can we improve productivity, whether that's for like workspaces, which is like more like enterprise or businesses, or it's for like more like personal use, which is more like consumer use, where you have to spend less time online, and a lot of these things get done automatically.
I'm curious, where do you see the future of agents for browser automation versus for computer automation in general? So do you see there's being this is a compressed representation of the HTML page that's essential to MultiOn's initial success as a lock-in to being a browser agent? Do you see computer use as being as important, more important, less important? Is it possible with the browser because it's sort of more consistent with itself, might be a better context for an AGI-centered agent? I would love to hear your
totally. I think that's a great point. I would say it's different, like in terms of product. So if you think about a computer agent, is almost a new operating system. It's something that is running on the operating system level. So it's like a replacement of the OS. If you can have a computer agent that can go do things for you, but a browser agent is more for replacement of a browser. And traditionally, the browser has been very different from the operating system itself. And so we also see this like, and the browser also has its own like very different technical like specification or technical challenges. And then so I do think like the browser category and the browser automation category will remain different from like just like the computer use category itself. I think there will definitely be like a lot of overlaps, but we think like the browser is just like a very specific thing which can be optimized. And then a lot of the stuff that we've been building, like the compression, like algorithms, and like a bunch of like very specific browser technology. I think that can be applied there, which could over time benefit from a lot of the advancements we're seeing with this new like computer use capabilities. But I do think like things are gonna keep evolving and keep becoming better and better. So
I kind of see two paradigms of this browser automation. One is vision centric. It's about taking a photo of the web page and then deciding what actions to take on the basis of the vision algorithm, and some of it's recent because the quality of the multimodal models has really spiked in the last year and a half, versus the HTML, sort of standard, parsing with beautiful soup, take actions in Selenium style, coded version of the browser agent. I wonder where you stand on both the ontology. So do you see these as two distinct paradigms, both of which have their upsides and downsides, and which may or may not take over? Do you see there as being paradigms that are not either of those? And also, within that, which do you expect to succeed and for what tasks and why?
I can definitely call them different paradigms. I think the vision is more human-like, but how the HTML, how browsers work is that they have HTML, a bunch of stuff, so they're optimized for bots. And then HTML also has a lot of rich metadata. Like they have ARIA tags and a bunch of other things, which is made for bots to be able to understand what exactly is happening. So if you think about a browser, the visual part is kind of like the human representation, which is made for humans. But then you have this underlying HTML part, which is uniquely made for other bots or programs to identify and work with this the website or the browsers. And then we see maybe a combination of both is the best pathway, because you gain information on both. Where the visual aspect is great for layouts and styles and how the website is structured. But a lot of the actual details of what's happening behind the scenes, maybe this, what category this image is, or maybe descriptions or menus or buttons, stuff like that. So you can get a lot of rich details about what is this functionality of this particular component from the underlying HTML. And so we see maybe a combination where you do combine both together. I think that's kind of the unique thing you can create, where you bring the best of both worlds.
Wow, okay. I mean, imagine that adding a lot of complexity, but obviously there are different perspectives on the page, so there's definitely value. And I guess in my representation of this, that question exists both on the perception side, which we just discussed, and on the action side. So on the action side, you could say, take an action like clicking a particular pixel location, which would be an action in image space, versus knowing the class tag or the ID tag of a given HTML element, and then writing text to that text box if you happen to know exactly what the tag is. And these also seem to me like different paradigms in the action space rather than the perceptual space. I also don't know if you see it that way, and if yes, do you have the same answer, that you should have a hybrid system that does both, or what kind of system are you planning on building, and do you think will succeed in the long term?
Sounds good. That's a great question actually. So this is something we have been thinking about. I think the best way to think about is some sort of tagging system. So you have the image space, but for each element you can create a bounding box. So you can have a rectangle around each element.
That's semantic segmentation.
So you get some sort of semantic mask for each element on the screen, and then you can give it a number, a numeric ID. So you can have 1, 2, 3, whatever, and then you can identify which element to click on. And the nice thing is now if I can identify this element both using spatial coordinates XY position of maybe the center point, but also know where this particular element is in the HTML. Then you can also extract the right data about this element, and then this representation. And then you can get all this the virtual representation and any sort of rich metadata associated with the image representation. And then I think in terms of control, I feel actually the second wave, which is more the programmatic control, is better. Because you need less permissions, because the other control, if you're doing more cursor control, that is more risky because you need a lot of system permissions, and they could be misused. But if you're doing more browser actions, I think then there's less security requirements there, because this is something that's already has a big standard, and you don't need too many permissions. You don't need operating system level permissions for this to happen.
Interesting. So I'm curious, what problems exist that most people, when they think about browser agents, wouldn't even notice or know about, but that are actually very deep. Authentication is something that comes up a ton, but is there something that's as important as, say, authentication, but that is just under discussed, and you know it's a deep problem, but actually.
Authentication is definitely a big one, where it's also how do you run these things on remote hosted clouds, where
and transfer all the relevant information.
Transfer relevant information, content, make sure the speeds are great, and building the right interface for that. The third challenge I think is I think one thing is if you show this kind of browser agents to someone who's maybe an everyday person, they have this expectation bar of this should behave like a human, But what's happening is like it's not like exactly behaving like a human, because it's maybe using a lot of this programmatic representations. It has like, its own representation, and its representation is different from maybe like the human representation on the screen and like how we see the website. And then a lot of what people get confused about is like when they expect it to do something, they expect it to like work exactly like how they will do it. And so they expect it to mimic like scrolling behavior, where like if you think about it, like the bot doesn't have to scroll because it could just see like the hidden parts of the website. And I think that's kind of actually very tricky, where like a lot of websites have like a lot of hidden elements. So if you are on like DoorDash or something, they might have a menu, and the menu might have a lot of hidden things. And like a human can't see the hidden things, but all the hidden things are actually there in the programmatic representation. So the bot can actually like do a lot of things. It can click on invisible parts of the screen, or it could like just like interact with, give you information that you can't even see. And people start like tripping on that, in the sense that they're like, okay, like what is happening? Like why is it not behaving like how a human will? And then you have to artificially figure out like how to make it behave more like a human in a sense.
Oh, right. Okay. That's important.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So I guess my last question for you is, what is the future of not just the AGI company, but AGI? Is this the paradigm that will give us general intelligence? Do you know how the next, say, 2 to 3 years of AGI will play out on the basis of these discoveries, or are you interested in other paradigms?
Yeah. So I'd say like I have a lot of thoughts on this. I can't reveal too much, because I think like a lot of that might be something that we are working on, or it's part of our roadmap. But I do think like this kind of agents will be the next big breakthrough, and I think we'll have like this kind of virtual agents, which are like browser computer use, or physical agents, which are more like Tesla bot or whatever, like other kind of like robotic things. And a lot of that will become like, how do you make this learn actuation? Like how do you do decision making in this kind of like uncertain environments? And like how do you deal with ambiguity? How do you like become like, how do you acquire skills? So like maybe like it's a new website that you've never seen before. How do you explore the website, learn to like take actions on the website, and then over time become a better learner? And that's how humans operate, where like over time we like acquire new skills and then keep using those skills to become better and better. And I think that's really the pathway towards the AGI, in a sense, where like maybe like the agent knows how to operate a bunch of interfaces of websites, but over time it's teaching itself how to operate new interfaces and new interfaces and new interfaces, and it can like operate every single interface, and then maybe like every single like physical like whatever like objects and manipulation. And then I think like this ability where it can like discover and learn new things. I think that's kind of the pathway where like okay, like these agents might develop a self-improvement loop, and once they do that, then they will keep improving and like becoming better and better.
Amazing. This has been an episode of the AGI House podcast with Div Garg of MultiOn. We wish him the best of luck creating the future of AGI. Please do subscribe to AGI House so that you don't miss an interview with the creator of the future of artificial intelligence. Thank you very much.
Nice. That's cool.